Hello and welcome to Lindamood-Bell. We're happy you can join us for this Imagine a Better School Year parent workshop. I'm Karen Meggs, Regional Director of Learning Centers. Lindamood-Bell is an organization dedicated to helping students learn to their potential. Since 1986, we have taught over 35,000 students of all ages and backgrounds, including students with a previous diagnosis such as dyslexia. And we help a lot of students who just need school to be easier. Our imagery language instruction enables our students to achieve years of gain in reading or comprehension after only a few weeks of instruction. Today we'll be discussing what the Imagery Language Foundation is and why it's important. We'll also talk about how to help your child understand their assignments and using the Imagery Language Foundation for remembering facts for tests. The sensory input of imagery underlies competency and language literacy skills, including comprehension, thinking, and memory. Let's talk about what that means. Imagery is a sensory cognitive function. There are individual differences in the ability to create mental representations, and thus there are individual differences in the ability to dual code imagery and language for cognition. To illustrate that, imagine a teacher looking out at a classroom full of first graders and saying, "The penguin slid across the ice." Some students will instantly see a movie in their minds of a black and white animal gliding across white ice. Other students won't as easily form that picture, and some might not make a picture at all. It's often assumed that if a student can read, has adequate vocabulary, and is paying attention, that they can comprehend, but there are individual differences. Let's talk about two types of imagery: imagery for parts and imagery for wholes. Symbol imagery is the ability to create mental representations for sounds and letters within words. Concept imagery is the ability to create an image gestalt or whole for oral and written language. This diagram shows the reading circles and how the sensory cognitive functions underlie necessary component parts of reading. The auditory circle represents our phonemic awareness for doing word attack. The visual circle represents our symbol imagery for sight words. Both circles together support decoding. The language circle represents the use of contextual reading and vocabulary. The comprehension circle on the outside represents our ability to create an image gestalt in order to comprehend what we read. Let's take a look at imagery and the language processing spectrum. We have two different students here with two very different profiles. Buzz had a sensory system where he could process the whole and could comprehend, but he couldn't process the parts. He had difficulty with sounds and letters and reading. On the other end of the spectrum, Sophie's sensory system could process the parts, the sounds and the letters, but not the whole. She had difficulty comprehending what she read and what she heard. We believe all students can learn to their potential, including those with a previous diagnosis. Our approach with students is to address the weakness that may be affecting learning. For Buzz, we developed his ability to visualize the parts, the sounds and the letters, and developed his symbol imagery and phonemic awareness. For Sophie, we developed her ability to image the gestalt and strengthen her concept imagery for comprehension. Now let's talk about how to use imagery as applied to schoolwork. It's important to have a good system to record and track homework assignments. Here's a short video on a system that may work for you.
I'm Amy from Lindamood-Bell, and today we're going to help your students get organized by giving you tips about day planners. The first step is selecting a size. Choose whatever works for your student, their handwriting, and their backpack. We recommend options with a plastic cover, as they tend to be more durable. We recommend getting a planner that has multiple view options, so they can see their month at a glance for overall planning, and also the details of daily assignments. Once you have your planner, be sure to write your name, phone number, and email with a permanent pin onto the inside cover in case it gets lost. Daily assignments should have all the specific details necessary to complete that task. For example, Instead of writing Do World History Assignment, write World History, read Chapter 3, answer questions 1 through 5. As you complete a task, cross it off to keep your list accurate and reduce confusion. Have a quick chat with your student about upcoming assignments. Prioritize which assignments they should work on first based on when they are due. As the year progresses, clip together the completed months so you can quickly and easily get to the right spot. Encourage your student to look at their assignment book when grabbing their books and notebooks from their locker or classrooms. Be sure to take your planner to school and back home every day. That way you are more likely to use it and keep it accurate.
Let's talk about how to apply imagery to understanding homework assignments. Start by having your student or yourself read the instructions aloud. For example, read Chapter 1 and answer the questions at the end of the chapter. Make sure at that point you check for understanding using language that creates imagery. So you might say, what do you picture doing with this assignment? Where do you picture the questions you'll be answering are located? How do you see that you're answering those questions? Let's talk about how to use imagery for learning and remembering facts for tests. Two critical factors in strong test-taking skills are developing vocabulary and note-taking. First, let's look at how to use imagery to develop vocabulary. Imagery is a key component in developing and utilizing new vocabulary terms. It's important to ask questions that stimulate imagery so that your child can truly understand the meaning of each word instead of just memorizing. For example, instead of asking, "What's a clown?" you can ask, "What do you picture for a clown?" and follow up with additional imagery questioning. What color hair do you see? What does the nose look like? Where do you picture the clown? Many of you use flashcards to practice vocabulary at home. Let's talk about how to integrate imagery into that process. Start by using a blank 3x5 card. On one side of the card, write the word. On the other side of the card, write a definition and a brief sentence using that word in context. The key for studying vocabulary is to use imagery prompting language. Don't just say, "Do you remember?" Instead, ask, "What do you picture?" When practicing with flashcards at home, start by showing the word and using language that prompts imagery. For example, instead of saying, "What does glide mean?" you can ask, "What do you picture for glide?" What do you see gliding? If the word is not yet stable, flip over the card for the definition and help your child to recreate an image for that word. It's helpful to put the word in some different contexts and sentences to help solidify their understanding. For example, you can check their imagery for the word glide by asking what they picture for a kite gliding through the sky, as well as what they picture for a penguin gliding over the ice. Finally, categorize the cards into stable and unstable piles. The stable piles indicate that the child has a strong, automatic image and understanding for that word. The unstable pile indicates that the child does not yet have a clear or automatic picture and understanding for the word. Practice unstable cards every day and remember to use imagery language to check their understanding. Let's talk about the other key component to successful test taking: taking good chapter and lecture notes. We want for your child to be able to hear and read information only once or twice in order for them to fully comprehend it so that they don't have to reread numerous times and still miss key elements. Let's take a look at this simplified note-taking technique. Start by having the student read a section or a chapter, either out loud or to themselves. You want to help capture the main topics in what they are reading by prompting to imagery. Ask them what they pictured for certain sections. Make sure you're questioning towards the main ideas and not towards the individual details. Once you've identified the main ideas, then you can talk through the supporting details. Those details will go off to the side or be indented beneath each of the main topics. In the details, make sure that you either enlarge, highlight, or underline the key dates, names, definitions, or concepts. Then go back and use imagery to create and discuss mental pictures for those highlighted terms. For example, if it's an important detail that someone was born in the year 1564 in England, then you can be asking, what do you picture for where England is? What do you see for England in 1564? And make sure they have correct and accurate imagery for those words. We're happy to answer your questions and to talk with you about our instruction. We hope these tips have you imagining a better school year. Thank you.